Like I came here 25 years ago, just prior to Chen Shui-bian being elected. To me, Taiwan is my country.
When you became a Taiwanese citizen for the first time, what was it like when you had an opportunity to vote?
The first time I voted would happen to coincide with them having 10 referendums.
Wow.
And I showed up with my driver's license and Jinbao card and all that and said, no, ID, no. And this time, for the presidential election, I wanted to vote.
Cole Fogel here, and today I am with John the Cowboy.
The Taiwan Cowboy.
And it's been a while, like we made a video a while back, and people are really curious. In our last video, we talked about the paper house that you built, or paper houses. People wanted to know, how did your house hold up after the recent earthquake that we had?
We're sitting, breakfast, and just felt like this. And I said, oh, there's an earthquake. And Shelley said, really? She was at the fridge. And then the door rattled, bang, clang, clang, clang. And then that was it. And then next thing on my cell phone, ding, ding, ding. Oh, wow, did you feel that? And they've been going on this morning, got up. Oh, another big earthquake, 2 o'clock.
So it held up well, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yes, it's not.
So, because I got a lot of comments, there were different people asking, how can I learn how to make this? Have you ever thought about, have you thought about doing DIY if people came to learn how to make the brick?
We actually do that. Normally we do school groups, universities. I've had 3 or 4 Architects Institute come, so you have 20, 30, 1 or 2 bus loads. And we actually go make papercrete, do video on how to do it, how it works. They get a show around all the buildings. They make some bricks, maybe lay some bricks, do some plaster. We do that.
Okay, so I think there are more, since our video, there seem to be more people that are interested.
Yeah.
What's the best way to contact?
Easy. Line.
Oh, line, there you go.
Paper House Guy, 1 word.
Oh, that's your line ID.
Yeah.
So John, before we continue with this interview, I wanted to ask you, where are we sitting right now?
Well, this actually is in II, which is the name of our new coffee shop bakery.
What inspired this creation?
Just another challenge, just typical, finish one lot and halfway through another, start another, just typical.
A true artist.
Crazy, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's beautiful though, yeah.
Yeah, I got to use a lot more recycling. Of course, got my paper walls and stuff.
How far do you think you are to completion? Because right now you can see the area, it looks like it's completed, but I'll show you the other part of it.
This part, I guess 2/3 of the coffee shop and all the bakery, and that's all done.
Okay, so now I want to ask you, because I didn't get a chance in our last video, when you became a Taiwanese citizen for the first time, what was it like when you had an opportunity to vote? Because I think people would like to know, what's it like being a foreigner who then becomes Taiwanese and now you can vote? What was that like?
Well, actually, I can give you 2 quick little stories. The first time I voted would happen to coincide with them having 10 referendums.
Wow.
On the gay marriage, and there's so many, I can't even remember what they were. And so when I went down to vote in the little village where I was household registration, I was the youngest guy. I was 70, and there's all these daughtery old guys with little Indonesian girls, hauling them off to vote. And I looked at the guy, I thought, well, what would he think about gay marriage?
Interesting, yeah.
And then I'm looking, wow, this is really bizarre. It was a little bit surreal. And it was good. When I finished, I went, yay, I voted and all that. I voted in the last election, and I lost my ID.
Oh, no.
Guess what? It was in the bag I was showing you when you visited.
Oh,
and I had forgot I left it there. And I showed up with my driver's license and Jinbao card and all that and said, no, ID. Oh, no. I was really pissed.
Yeah.
I was doing something else. I went, ID, so I quickly ran down and said, yay. They said, oh, good.
Voting's important to you, I'm
guessing? Yeah, for me, it feels special. And I like to let everybody know it's special. Yeah. And if anything, sort of give off that vibe to other people. And they go, wow, that guy, he's really keen on voting.
Yeah, because maybe the people who are from here, it's not as big a deal because they're from here, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just becomes, another election. oh, we got to choose between this crooked guy and that crooked guy, you know.
Politics, right?
Yeah.
But you do believe every vote matters.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
from your perspective.
Yeah. I made sure my wife voted every time.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Shelley, come on.
Yeah. Even before, you know, when I was a citizen, I say, hey, it's election time. Yeah, you get out. I can't vote. So you bloody make sure you vote. And this time, for the presidential election, I wanted to vote. To me, the only choice was DPP. And I was debating whether or not to go for one of the alternatives, but definitely not the KMT. And now the TPP with Ko and Zhu. Oh, man.
He's what? He's the ex-mayor
of Taipei.
Taipei, right?
Thanks to the DPP letting him get elected. So
interesting.
Yeah, and I class myself as a Taiwan nationalist, and I'm for Taiwan, and I feel that the other two parties are not pro-Taiwan. It's funny, you know. I saw your last video.
Yes.
And I watched it a couple times just to check out on some of the things he said. And I thought, I bet you were thinking that as far as dealing with politics.
Yes.
Listening to the guys sort of against the Green Party.
Yeah, and that was part of being out of my comfort zone as well, because I, of course, feel maybe not quite as passionately as you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not allowed to vote anyway, I only have my own opinions. That, to me, Taiwan is Taiwan. And I didn't debate with him, and I think a lot of people felt offended that I didn't stick up for Taiwan. But my motivation was I wanted to allow a different perspective without kind of interjecting. Because I asked him to explain, what is DPP, what is KMT, and he explained it from his perspective.
Yeah.
I just wanted to allow someone to speak and remain neutral, and I realized, I guess maybe you can't be neutral in these situations.
But technically, you're not, as a foreigner, you're not allowed to get involved in politics.
Which is why I was neutral about it.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was we never even addressed who he voted for, and the curious part was he is not a KMT supporter. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
Sorry if I offended anyone, because that is never my intention. I'm going to stop there anyways.
Yes.
I'm going to let John take the stage.
Did you learn?
I learned that politics is a very sensitive matter.
I think if there's anything that involves passion,
yes,
I think the two worst ones are politics and religion.
Yes.
And to me, they're both the same. But anyhow, it's one.
There's definitely a similar energy behind them. Yes.
So to me, I'm for the record, I'm a Taiwan nationalist. As far as politics, I generally vote Green because I consider them to be the closest to serving Taiwan the best. I mean, if I was in Taipei, I would have voted for Freddie Lim. You know Freddie Lim? He's the heavy metal.
Yes, sorry. I liked him because he seems interesting.
I was disappointed that he didn't run again, but I mean, he's up north anyways. I actually reached out to him seeing if they were going to sort of expand on his, but he didn't want to be a one-man party. Like I said, I watched your Sean and Sheba.
And you guys couldn't have any larger fundamental differences when it
Well,
comes
yeah, and I mean, he said a couple of things. Well, a couple of things I thought were not correct, and from what research I've done since then, I can't find anything to it, and I wondered why he said it. He said something about the DPP was in bed with the communists at the beginning.
Yeah, what's the
to me, I couldn't find anything like that. But I'm not surprised he would say it because the KMT during the White Terror period were incarcerating communists and Taiwanese nationalists. So to a KMT person, they're the same. That's what I surmised. Just this week, I met a guy from Hong Kong that escaped from Hong Kong. And I said, well, why'd you have to leave? He said, one situation really bad, but a friend of his was killed by the cops. We had quite a talk about that and his thoughts on China and Taiwan. His only negative comment about Taiwan is the way the Taiwan government is treated the Hong Kong refugees.
Oh.
One of their complaints is, they'll end up being, CCP infiltrators, amongst
They're worried about
Yeah.
infiltration.
I said they don't need to. They got, 500,000 avid KMT Quislings right here in Taiwan. And they're a lot more trouble than a handful of possible. One of the other things I thought was quite funny, he was saying that, even on the passport it says ROC.
Yeah.
And my wife just got a new passport. And I said, I don't even know if it has ROC on it. So I took out the passport and looked at Taiwan. There's like the emblem or something in the middle. And then with magnifying glasses, you can see ROC. And now on the top in Mandarin,
It says
ROC.
Okay.
But the only people that would read that
It's Taiwanese.
are Taiwanese or Chinese.
If you land in Canada, they think you're from Taiwan.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
No question.
So do you think one day it will just say Taiwan?
Well, it depends if they listen to me or not. Because when I was growing up, I knew it as Taiwan. I didn't know it as ROC.
Me too. My action figures, my toys were made in Taiwan.
Yeah,
I didn't know
it is.
what ROC was.
Yeah, and as far as I remember. To me, Taiwan is my country.
Right.
To the people in PRC,
Yeah.
Taiwan is Taiwan, but it's a province of...
Of China. Okay. So
I've got a friend. Father came over as a soldier and in retreat from the CCP. Set up family here, married, had kids, and so I met this guy. He's been over in the States, American educated, highly qualified, worked there for a number of years, come back here. And we were talking the other day, and he said, he's very pro-KMT and pro-China. I said, what are you? Are you Taiwanese or Chinese? He says, I'm Chinese, but I'm Taiwanese. I said, well, if China comes over and start killing, what would you think? He said, oh, welcome them. I said, but they're probably going to kill your neighbors and me. He said, but only if people resist. I go, why? He said, well, right now the biggest problem is the green terror. And I'm going, God, the guy's on a different planet.
So can I ask you, because I asked Sean this question, and I would imagine that your perspective, based on what we've already talked about, would be vastly different. What is DPP and what is KMT?
What's KMT,
DPP? Yeah, KMT, okay.
Is basically the political party that started way back in the formation of the ROC, back in, was it 1911? I think it was 1911, under Sun Yat-sen. And then Chiang Kai-shek became the dictator of China. The Constitution says it's supposed to be democratic. The KMT has been anti-communist. I mean, they fought the Civil War, lost. The main part, lost, and escaped to here. The DPP is the pro-Taiwanese are trying to, get a hold of Taiwan again. Prior to 1945, the local Taiwanese had almost gained quite a bit of autonomy from Japan. Instead of being a colony, I think the status was changing to something like a territory. And they had quite a bit of freedom, and they're headed in that direction. Kuomintang came, then killed all the intelligentsia, all the politicians, the educated people, the doctors, lawyers, all that.
You mean when the KMT came over?
Yeah. And then now for the KMT to turn around and hop in bed with the Maoists, insane. Like my friend, I asked him, I said, what do you think your father would say if he saw you waving a communist flag welcoming the troops into Taiwan? Hey, we surrender.
He'd be very upset.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
And to go back on history.
So is there anything that I haven't asked you that you might want to add to this conversation on this topic?
Well, I know, like I came here 25 years ago, just prior to Chen Shui-bian being elected. I happened to be involved with some people that were into politics and stuff. And one of them gave me a book called Formosa Betrayed. And it's about the 228 incident and lead up and follow up.
Sorry,
from
for
that.
those of you watching that aren't necessarily from Taiwan, could you, in a very simple terms, because I know it's a long thing to talk about, what is that?
Basically, the 228, which is February 28th, is when the troops from the KMT started massacring Taiwanese.
Well, sorry, what year are we talking about?
I think it was 1947.
Oh, just after the war.
Yeah.
Okay.
And before they came over here completely. And so, unfortunately, the Americans provided the ships to Chiang Kai-shek to bring the troops over.
Interesting how America always seems to be involved in everything.
On the wrong side.
And I'll just leave it at that, and I won't say more about America.
Yeah. Anyhow, the book was written by an American ambassador, the guy that was the American ambassador in Taiwan at the time, living in Taipei. And then the other thing, more recent, again, Formosa Betrayed, but it's a movie. It actually details some of the DPP early days, or prior to DPP, and in Kaohsiung, because basically we think of DPP as a southern
So this
part.
whole thing happened in Kaohsiung.
Yeah. Most of it. Although the guy was based in Taipei, that's because the government was there. Yeah. And that was during the White Terror. And I showed that to my wife, got my wife to watch it. She lived in that period, but growing up,
Close enough.
knew nothing of it.
Oh. Okay, Formosa Betrayed is Chiang Kai-shek coming over, and then what leads us?
Just think of 228.
Right.
Okay. And then after martial law was declared, which was the beginning of the White Terror, they call it.
Okay.
And the movie is set, there was a Taiwanese writer, professor assassinated in the US. An American guy comes over to investigate and find the killers. They knew who the killers were. But I won't say any more, ruin the movie.
I feel like I want to watch this movie.
And it's got the stuff about the way that KMT treated the protesters.
So these are two separate things. Do people often confuse the two just because of the name?
Most people don't know of the two. So
Final question for you. What do you hope to see as a Taiwanese citizen? What change or what vision do you have for Taiwan in the future that you would hope to see?
Well, I'd like to see Taiwan accepted by the world as itself. I mean, it's 99%.
I was going to say it's getting there, right?
But the thing is, it's not there. I mean, this week or next week is the World Health Organization Assembly. We can't even get observer status. We used to. But the clowns in China, put a stop to that. I would just like Taiwan to be a country, and definition of Taiwan is Matsu, the islands and what have you. Give up the Diaoyu ties. We have a few islands in the South China Sea. We do open trade with China if they want. They can visit us, we can visit them.
Because we all want to put bread on the table, right?
Yeah, we just want to live. I just want to build some more paper houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they let me do paper houses in China. I don't know.
I was saying to my wife, I wish for a day where China is like a distant relative that you visit once in a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like China to be to Taiwan what France and England are to Canada.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we're in the situation now. It's like France, Macron wakes up and says, hey, we want Canada back.
Oh, boy. I think Canada would probably have something to say about that.
Yeah, and then, King Charles wakes up one morning, I think before I die, I think we should get America back.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's the same.
Well, John, I really appreciate this talk. I was saying to my wife on the way here, I feel like I'm going to visit a family member when I hang out with you. And there is one final thing I wanted to say, that this delicious food here that I've taken a little bite of. Your wife is a baker, yes?
Yes.
And this is part of the coffee shop. This is a scone.
Yep.
It's delicious. Just wanted to end this video with the lovely creator of the food here, Shelly.
这里是105咖啡烘焙坊。那你们有空的时候，有经过这里的话，可以进来坐一下，然后参观我们的面包、我们的房子。
John, I'm excited for people to check out the food. I appreciate this talk because I know it is a very sensitive topic, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Any final words you'd like to share?
Taiwan #1.
Definitely Taiwan #1, and damn, I love Taiwan.
Yeah.